as Ukrainian soldiers fight back invading Russian forces. A mysterious fire destroys a weapons depot in eastern Bulgaria.
Без външна намеса няма как да се случи това вътре от само себе си.
The July 2022 incident was the latest in a string of suspicious explosions at Bulgarian arms facilities over the past decade.
И виждам нещо подобно на атомна гъба.
Russian agents have been linked to some of the blasts. And there are accusations Moscow is behind the near-fatal poisonings of a Bulgarian arms dealer.
Бяха изпратени определени проби в една специализирана лаборатория. Съвсем твърдо и ясно казаха, да, това е препарат от семейството на новичок.
But in a country politically divided by Russia's war in Ukraine, the cases remain open and officially unsolved.
11 години ехтат взривове, отравят хора и нищо не се вижда. Нищо не се разбира. Нищо не се разследва.
An RFERL investigation looks into allegations of cover-ups and foot-dragging by Bulgarian authorities.
Тия саботажи ще продължат толкова дълго, докато няма мерки, докато не се защитим.
Amid the ruins of an ammunition depot near the eastern Bulgarian city of Karnobat, Konstantin Skelen is looking for answers.
Невъзможно е отвътре да се получи самозапалване и самовзривяване.
In the early morning of July 31st, 2022, a fire and a chain of explosions ripped through this warehouse belonging to the Bulgarian munitions manufacturer EMCO. Skelen is the company's logistics manager and says hot summer temperatures could not have triggered the blaze.
Без външна намеса няма как да се случи това вътре от само себе си. А знаете, сега има много по-съвременни методи, отколкото преди години. Науката се развива, има и дистанционно неща, които могат да се предизвикат.
Once the fire was put out, it was too dangerous to enter the depot to inspect the damage. EMCO used a drone to survey the smoldering ruins and shared this footage with RFERL. The scorched trees and vegetation around the building revealed the intensity of the inferno. Alexander Hristov was a security guard on duty when the fire broke out.
Бяхме в охранителната стая към 3:20. Задейства слот системата. Погледнахме. Все едно ще дава нарушение. Погледнахме камерите, виждаш само червено.
Hristov knew he had to get out of the area fast and says it was a miracle no one was killed by the exploding shells.
Само се виждаше огъня отгоре над склада, докато излезем от портала отвънка и почнаха гърмежите.
The owner of the EMCO depot is Bulgarian arms dealer Emilian Gebrev. He told Britain's Guardian newspaper he was 100% sure that Russian operatives were behind the Karnobat fire, but later told RFERL that no direct evidence has emerged to confirm this. It's unclear if the Karnobat munitions were destined for Ukraine, but following Russia's full-scale invasion of the country, Gebrev told RFERL how proud he was of Bulgaria's arms industry, which is a major producer of ammunition for Soviet-era weapons, the kind widely used by the Ukrainian military.
Българската индустрия, тя в годините, а и сега, когато се води тази безумна война в момента, доказва своето значение.
Former Bulgarian Prime Minister Kirill Petkov has revealed his nation secretly provided an estimated third of the ammunition needed by Ukrainian forces in the early stages of Russia's invasion. After leaving office, Petkov told Germany's Die Welt newspaper he acted covertly through intermediaries who exported the weapons via third countries. The head of the Bulgarian Socialist Party had vowed to quit the ruling coalition if Sofia sent arms directly to Ukraine. As far back as 2014, Ukraine's army relied on Bulgarian ammunition as it battled Russia-backed separatists in the eastern Donbass region following Moscow's illegal annexation of Crimea. That's according to Viktor Yahun, a former deputy chairman of the Ukrainian Security Service, the SBU.
Коли Україна війшла в війну в 2014 році, і в нас почалися надзвичайні проблеми з забезпеченням наших військ якісним артилерійським спорядженням, тому найбільш перспективним ринком отримання цих боєприпасів була Болгарія.
The 2022 destruction of the Karnobat Arms Depot was the latest in a string of suspicious fires and explosions at Bulgarian munitions facilities over the past decade. There have been at least 10 such incidents, including alleged sabotage at facilities belonging to Gebrev's company, EMCO. The first occurred on November 12, 2011, near the village of Lovny Dol. More than 3,000 long-range projectiles were stored at this warehouse. Prosecutors say ammunition and explosives destroyed in the Lovny Dol blast were destined for Georgia, though EMCO denies its weapons there were bound for the South Caucasus nation. Georgia fought a brief war with Russia in 2008, and Moscow has recognized Georgia's breakaway regions of Abkhazia and South Ossetia. This guard, Zhivko Dimov, saw shells rain down over a 1.5 square kilometer area.
Малко стресова ситуация, просто преместих и колата докато дойдат, нали, докато се реагира и докато чакам една осколка щупи предния прозорец до мене. Може се каже, че съм извадил късмет.
Explosions lasted for several days. Miraculously, there were no casualties. It took more than 6 months to clean up the Lovny Dol site and defuse the remaining shells. An investigation by authorities examined several possible explanations for the blast, from an insurance swindle and human error to technical malfunction. But those hypotheses were dismissed when evidence pointed to sabotage. Konstantin Skellen also managed the Lovny Dol warehouse and says a Russian-made explosive device was found by investigators 150 meters from the building.
В постановлението, което е за спиране на разследването, е описано, че това тяло представлява пластичен експлозив, на основата на който е хексоген, изключително мощно, не е задействано, защото има прекъснати нагреватели на иницииращата част на капсула детонатора.
In 2013, Bulgarian authorities suspended the investigation into the Lovny Dol blast because no suspect could be identified. 6 months after that incident, several arms warehouses were destroyed by massive explosions near the eastern Bulgarian town of Stralja. Mitko Karakolev still works for the company Beretta Trading and is haunted by what happened here. On June 5, 2012, 3 people were killed by exploding munitions, including Karakolev's former colleague, whom he'd known since childhood.
Колкото да обикалям района на баста, приятела си няма да мога да го дигна, да го изправя, да го изкарам от камъните, където го намерихме на парчета, но...
Karakolev, however, did manage to rescue another colleague who was wounded and trapped in a burning building. He risked his life after getting a desperate phone call.
И думите му бяха: абе, бати Митко, умирам, помогнете ми. След такива думи, чути от познат човек, от човек, който познаваш него, познаваш семейството му и да го оставиш, просто е грешка.
The explosions were so powerful, many locals mistook them for an earthquake. More than 600 people in nearby villages were evacuated. Atanas Balakchiev was at a nearby cottage retreat called Lilac Hut and will never forget what he saw.
И аз откровено казвам си помислих, че това е атомна война. И изскочих тук пред хижата и се обръщам в тази посока и виждам нещо подобно на атомна гъба. Така спокойно се издига нагоре.
The initial investigation said the disaster was sparked by workers who were disassembling a Divina rocket warhead. Ivan Mitev, the head of Stralja's local council, believes the owner was negligent.
Никакви правила не могат да се създадат да се извлича незаконно взривно вещество. Хора работят там, така си отидаха нелепо тези момчета заради алчността на собствениците.
Desislav Delev is the owner of Beretta Trading and the Stralja Depot. He was charged with negligence but acquitted in an initial trial. Prosecutors filed new charges, but more than 10 years after the deadly incident, there's still been no final verdict.
Значи те просто не желаят, нали, да излезе истината. На тех им трябва някой виновен. Това е истината. А дали той наистина е виновен, няма никакво значение.
Delev says prosecutors failed to investigate the possibility of sabotage. On the day of the explosions, Delev says a repair crew visited the facility to fix a broken security camera. He says the depot was housing arms destined for Georgia on behalf of Sage Consultants, a company blacklisted by Russia. Case materials show the firm was storing $28 million worth of weapons at the site. And leaked permits published by the Bulgarian investigative site BIRD shows Sage was authorized to export weapons to Georgia. One of the permits was issued 2 months before the blasts.
Тази стока беше за Грузия. Знаете, там войната с Русия. Русия няколко пъти е писала до България да не се разрешава експорт за Грузия, нали, да не се изнасят неща за там. И факта и сега, че обявиха и фирмата с този списък на забранените дружества, показва, че има мотив. Нали, има сериозен мотив за това нещо. И има такива косвени доказателства доста, които водят в тази посока.
A forensics report from Delev's first trial noted evidence of explosive fire in each of the 5 warehouses Sage Consultants was using at the site. But the protective earth barriers around each warehouse were virtually undamaged. Delev said such destruction would be impossible if the incident had been triggered from a single location.
По принцип тези бази се изграждат така, че да не допускат да има детониращ ефект между складовете. Фактически, за да стане това нещо, трябва да бъдат разрушени валовете, които се изграждат специално около всеки склад. При нас няма никакво нарушение на валовете, никакво обгаряне, а всъщност всички складове са взривени. И това по чиста елементарна логика води, че има някаква намеса, защото всичко погина.
In 2014, there were 4 more explosions at Bulgarian munitions facilities. On February 28th of that year, an explosion at the Arsenal Weapons Complex in Kazanlak killed 1 person. On August 8th, 10 people were injured in a series of explosions at the Teremzar Samuil military plant in Kostanets. On October 1st, 15 people were killed at the Midjur plant in Gorny Lom, the deadliest incident to hit a Bulgarian munitions facility. Finally, on December 19, 2014, an unexplained explosion at an ammunition company in Maglij killed one person. The 2014 blasts came amid a period of higher tension in Eastern Europe, sparked by Russia's annexation of Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula. The Ukrainian army was also scrambling to get ammunition and weapons as it battled Russia-backed separatists in Ukraine's eastern Donbass region.
Пожар и серия от експлозии в склад и цех на военния завод край село Иганово край Сопот.
On the evening of March 21, 2015, news reports showed the state VMZ arms factory in central Bulgaria in flames. The skies above the Vazov machine building plant were fiery shades of orange and could be seen from the nearby town of Karlovo.
Сериозно се разтревожихме. Пътувайки от Карлово към Иганово, където бяха взривове, имаше може би 100-200 метра, се виждаха как във въздуха се получават експлозии.
3 weeks later, on April 14th, Karlovo, Iganovo, and Sopot were again rattled by blasts at the same plant, despite stepped-up security.
Доста неприятни. Доста неприятни. Дали е руска, така да го кажа, намеса или пък на някой друг, аз не мога да кажа, но близко е до ума, че е напълно възможно да е така.
Munitions at the VMZ depot were reportedly to be sent to Ukraine through intermediary nations like Poland and the Czech Republic.
Няма как те да не стигат до Украина. Само, че не стигат по прекия път и търговци не продават на Украина, продават на други държави, които вероятно продават на Украина.
An investigation was launched into the VMZ blasts, but it would take 6 years for Bulgarian authorities to reveal alleged Russian involvement, and that evidence in the case had been destroyed in a mysterious fire.
Аз не мога, аз лично се съмнявам, че нашите разследващи не са стигнали и не знаят за какво иде реч и кои са хората тук, но най-вероятно не искат да ги покажат, не искат да ги обявят, не искат публично да ги обявят.
2 weeks after the second explosion at the VMZ munitions plant, Emilian Gebrev, the Bulgarian arms dealer, was the target of an alleged poison attack. On April 28, 2015, Gebrev fell into a coma after an unidentified phosphorus organic substance was allegedly placed on his car door handle in the Sofia garage by a Russian agent. That was according to Bulgarian prosecutors, who released this surveillance video in 2020. But initially, state investigators blamed the near-fatal illness on an arugula salad contaminated with pesticide, an explanation Gebrev called an attempted cover-up.
И в момента има хора, които са на служба в Държавната агенция по национална сигурност, които и до ден днешен твърдат, че въобще изобщо не е имало отравяне, не е имало терористичен акт, нищо не се е случвало. Та дори и самия главен прокурор беше започнал да говори за някакви руколи и други смешни твърдения.
After making little headway in the investigation for 3 years, Bulgarian authorities got a tip-off from British investigators. They linked Gebrev's 2015 sickness to a suspect in the Novichok poison attack on former Russian spy Sergei Skripal in Salisbury, England, allegedly carried out by Russian GRU military agents. Bulgarian prosecutors had to publicly acknowledge that something more sinister had occurred to Gebrev.
Те просто пак бяха принудени под външен натиск, под външен фактор това да го стартират, да го направят с изключително голямо нежелание. По никакъв начин не се обръщат за съдействие от специализираната международна организация за защита от химическите оръжия. Прокуратурата прави всичко възможно това да не се случи.
In 2020, Denis Sergeyev and Yegor Gordienko, were among 3 Russians charged in absentia by Bulgaria for their alleged role in trying to poison Gebrev. The open-source investigation organization Bellingcat reported the men were part of Unit 29155, the GRU Russian intelligence team linked to the Skripal-Novichok poisoning. In April 2021, the Czech government accused Moscow of state terrorism and linked Russian agents from the same GRU unit to a deadly explosion at an ammunition depot 5 years earlier. The 2014 blast in the Czech town of Verbitice killed 2 people and set off 50 metric tons of ammunition, some of which belonged to Emilian Gebrev.
Ні, була така інформація, що ця зброя частково була призначена для України. Що в основному, чому? Тому що ті калібри, які там зберігалися, вони точно явно не призначалися для Чехії.
Gebrev denied that the destroyed ammunition was intended for export. But again, external events forced Bulgarian authorities to reopen investigations into unexplained blasts in their own country. The Russian GRU team allegedly behind the Czech explosion was linked to unexplained arms depot blasts in Bulgaria. In April 2021, the spokeswoman for Bulgaria's Prosecutor General announced that 6 suspected Russian agents were being investigated. She said they were in Bulgaria in the spring of 2015, around the time of Gebrev's poisoning and the explosions at the VMZ ammunition plant. Prosecutors revealed something else. Physical evidence concerning the blasts at the VMZ plant was destroyed in a fire at an Interior Ministry facility in Sofia on May 31, 2015. Initial news reports said the fire broke out in the late afternoon, possibly due to a short circuit, and that no one had been hurt. But at the April 2021 press conference, prosecutors directly linked the fire to possible Russian involvement, suggesting it had been intentionally triggered. Bellingcat cited travel records as showing that 2 of the Russian agents charged in Gebrev's poisoning left Bulgaria days before the fire. Bulgaria's Prosecutor General's office hasn't made any more details public about its investigation since the 2021 press conference. The Kremlin has denied any involvement in the Bulgarian and Czech incidents. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov dismissed Bulgaria's allegations.
Либо болгарская сторона ничего не ведала, и только вдруг сейчас, после того, как в Чехии спохватились про события 2014 года, решила перещеголять еще и Чех и заглянуть гораздо глубже в историческую ретроспективу. Либо они все это время знали, что происходило, но по каким-то причинам не придавали это гласности.
Questions over the Bulgarian authorities' years of silence and lack of transparency about the ongoing investigation have also been raised by some of the country's lawmakers.
Аз мятам, че е важно да има отчетност. В един момент прокуратурата да стане и да каже докъде са стигнали, защото тия разследвания не могат да продължават с години.
Martin Dimitrov is a former member of parliament with the pro-European Democratic Bulgaria Alliance.
Много се опасявам, но обръщам внимание на всички, че това е национална сигурност. Значи ние ако допускаме да влизат лица в България, да участват в подобни саботажи, и след това да няма наказателни мерки от страна на българската държава, тия саботажи ще продължат толкова дълго, докато няма мерки, докато не се защитим.
Dimitrov, along with former Bulgarian Defense Minister Velizar Shalamanov, called for a special parliamentary committee to oversee the probes by the Prosecutor General's office into the unexplained blasts and investigate alleged cover-ups by the security services.
Ако ние сме уязвими, в смисъл има хора, които не са с проверен интегритет, които имат определена слабост, която ги подрежда по-скоро в подкрепа на чужди интереси, отколкото интересите на България, то може да очакваме провокации и в бъдеще.
There are also accusations that Bulgaria's Prosecutor General Ivan Geshev and his predecessor, Sotil Tsarov, actively tried to stall the investigations into Russian sabotage.
Прокуратурата прави всичко възможно да прикрие и да замаже следите, да затрудни разследването.
Boyko Noev is another former Bulgarian defense minister. He says while Britain had hundreds of people investigating the Novichok poisoning of former Russian spy Sergei Skripal, Bulgaria had only one or two investigators working on Gebrev's poisoning case.
Това е едно от многото доказателства, че прокуратурата и изпълнителната власт по времето на Бойко Борисов, а прокуратурата и сега, не желая истината да излезе наяве. И сред многото причини са както влиянието на Русия в специалните служби и прокуратурата.
Gebrev claims that on multiple occasions, Bulgarian authorities refused to cooperate with partner nations investigating Russia's GRU agents who were allegedly behind his poisoning.
Има обосновано предположение, че най-малко 3 или 4 пъти българска страна е отказала на свой партньор да съдейства. Още повече, че случаите се припокриват. Това е доста показателно като цяло.
Noev says he was concerned about a 2017 cooperation deal between Bulgaria's prosecutor general and his Russian counterpart.
Затварям скобата. Тоест влиянието на Русия върху нашите органи и прокуратурата в частност е безсъмнено. Няма съмнение.
Russia's war in Ukraine has divided some Bulgarians. Those who support Kyiv have clashed with a vocal minority who back the Kremlin. Bulgaria is considered one of the most pro-Russian nations in the European Union due to close historical, cultural, and business ties. While some Bulgarians have supported Ukraine, polls show a majority want their country to take a neutral position on the war. The far-right pro-Russian Vazrajdane, or Revival Party, removed a Ukrainian flag from Sofia City Hall and has held rallies sympathizing with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Pro-Russian parties saw their support grow in October 2022 parliamentary elections.
И оттам ясно се вижда, че да речем представителството им в парламента не е повече от около 20%. Нали, най-големия ръст беше на партия Възраждане, която от 5%, малко под 5%, нарасна на около 10%.
A coalition government failed to emerge from the October election, meaning Bulgaria will hold another vote in the spring, its fifth parliamentary election in 2 years. In 2021, amid this political instability, Stefan Yanev served as a caretaker prime minister and was later Bulgaria's defense minister when the war started. He was sacked in March 2022 for refusing to call Russia's invasion of Ukraine a war, insisting instead on calling it a special military operation, the term used by the Kremlin.
Виждаме какви са неговите интереси, какви са неговите приоритети, по-скоро в подкрепа на Русия и на президента Путин, отколкото на българските интереси. Също така виждаме, че определено и МВР, и то не само по отношение на взривовете, ние имаме друг голям проблем, това са паравоенните формирования и всякакви практически проруски инициативи, които поставят руското знаме над българското и руския интерес над българския.
The Kremlin has put Bellingcat's Bulgarian-born investigative journalist Christo Grozev on a wanted list, and some pro-Russian Bulgarian politicians were eager to see him be extradited. Grozev told a parliamentary hearing in January that Bulgarian authorities were withholding evidence of sabotage on their nation's arms depots by Russian agents with the GRU unit 29155.
По моя информация, в българските следствени действия са открита ролята на външни лица, именно на членове на руското военно разузнаване, но в предадената информация на чужди колеги се изключва тази информация. Ако това е така, означава, че България не спомага на други страни, които разследват същата група, същите престъпници, по подобни действия и практически прикрива присъствието и участието на ГРУ в българските взривове.
Using Bulgaria's Freedom of Information laws, RFERL requested details about the blast investigations from Bulgaria's Council of Ministers and the State Agency for National Security. Both requests were denied. But in January, Bulgarian Prosecutor General Ivan Geshev dismissed accusations of cover-ups and said his office always cooperated with partner nations.
Това, което мога да кажа, че по случая с взривовете имахме много добра комуникация с колегите от Чехия. Аз изключително говорих по телефона по този случай с предишния чешки главен прокурор и вярвайте ми, цялата информация, която може да е полезна и на чешката страна, и на българската, е разменена коректно.
RFERL asked Geshev about developments in the investigation of the string of explosions at Bulgarian arms facilities. He said 6 Russians had already been charged in connection with the blasts.
Това дело, когато вече на закрита специализирана прокуратура, бяха привлечени 6 руски граждани, които вероятно са свързани като обвиняеми и обявени за издирване, най-вероятно които са свързани с руските служби за сигурност.
It was the first public statement by Bulgarian prosecutors indicating that the alleged Russian agents had been formally charged in connection with the blasts. As the first anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine approached, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stepped up diplomatic efforts to secure more weapons from European allies. On February 9th, he met with EU leaders in Brussels. But Bulgaria's president questioned the obligation of the interim government he appointed to provide direct military aid to Ukraine. Rumen Radev said the new government that emerges from Bulgaria's spring elections should reconsider.
Надявам се, че правителството ще прояви разум за в бъдеще това да не се допусне.
But the longer the conflict drags on, the more Ukraine will be in need of deliveries of Bulgarian-made ammunition, and the more Russia will want to stop it.
С войната в Украйна рисковете от такова естество за България, за българските граждани, за българската индустрия нарастват.
Back amid the ruins of the EMCO warehouse near Karnobat, Konstantin Skellin says he knows nothing about the investigation into the devastating fire here.
Не ни известяват, може би имат някакви допускания, може и да нямат, може и да продължават да се работи, но аз това не мога да го кажа.
Skellin says if someone did try to break into the building, the security system should have caught it.
Системата така е изградена, че всяко едно нарушение се регистрира чрез принтер и това нещо се отпечатва. Разбира се, цялата компоновка на софтуери и хардуер на това, което го имаме към алармната сила, ни беше иззето от разследващите органи и до момента аз поне нямам информация какво има на тях записано.
With no answers as to what caused the inferno in Karnobat in July 2022, questions about the security of Bulgaria's munition stocks still linger. Kyiv, meanwhile, continues to plead with its European allies to keep ammunition supplies flowing as Russia's war in Ukraine enters a second year.